Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche, and this week I want to talk to you about an event that I often forget about until it's too late. So I'm trying to give you a heads up about Audubon's Christmas Bird Count. So this year is the 122nd of these counts, and it's your opportunity to participate in the nation's longest running community science bird project. It takes place in very specific locations called count circles. And as you can see, I'll provide a link to the map across the country. But you can see these circles occur, like say in Michigan, only in very specific locations. And so I will provide Audubon's link. It was a little hard to find, so I'll throw that in the description on this video. But these count circles occur and they sample the same area year after year. And for those of you who live near my store in Midland, there is a circle that includes Midland. There's one that includes Bay City. There's the Tittabawassee Valley circle to the north, and a Mount Pleasant circle. So the first thing to do is figure out, are you located or near one of these count circles? And you collect data from within those circles. There's a compiler designated and in charge of that circle, and coordinating different sectors or sections get assigned to leaders to cover that particular territory. And then data is compiled and submitted all through that particular circle compiler. And so besides occurring in specific locations, the counts also happen on specific dates. So it runs mid-December through January, specifically December 14th through, I think the last count can happen on January 5th. And so not only do you have to find a circle, but you need to be aware of what date that count is happening on. So locally around us, the Mount Pleasant designated count day is on December 19th. The Midland one is on December 18th. Bay City occurs on January 2nd, and the Tittabawassee Valley occurs on December 21st. So keep that in mind. When you go to this website, you can click on a given circle, and it'll pop up who is the circle compiler, their contact information, so that you can reach out and see if any of the sectors within the circle need additional coverage, or how you might be able to participate, even in watching your own feeders if your property occurs within the circle. So a little bit about the history of this Christmas bird count. It was born out of what used to be called the Christmas side hunt in the 1800s, a tradition of hunting for a Christmas meal. And in 1900, an ornithologist named Frank Chapman proposed a new holiday tradition of counting birds. So 25 counts happened that very first time, and I think 27 people or so participated, and now tens of thousands of people sample circles all across the Americas. So it's a neat, very long-running thing to be a part of. And I wanted to explain a little bit about the why participate. You get a really important pool of data from executing these counts, and that allows researchers to study trends in the status and range of our bird populations across the Americas. It's used in conjunction with data collected during the breeding bird survey in June. And it'll help ornithologists, conservation biologists, and ecologists understand how our bird populations are doing, where different species are occurring in the landscape, and help guide conservation actions on the ground. So really helping the scientists keep tabs on how are the bird populations changing over time and across a spatial area. And that data is available for over 100 years. So the dates and the locations are restricted, and there is a certain methodology in place, and that's to protect the integrity and statistical significance of the data that's being collected. And generally you're reporting the species and the numbers that are observed on that given count date. But they also collect data about human observer effort. And so while it's okay to use some technology like playback calls and attractant noises, that's allowed. Use of trail cams, remote unmanned audio recorders, and live stream feeder cameras are not allowed. And they're trying to be consistent in the way data is collected, having human observers in designated field parties submitting both bird and level of effort data. All the observers must coordinate with the CBC designated compiler beforehand. So you want to get tally sheets if you're watching your feeders, or figure out which sector you can participate in. And then everyone submits their data to that compiler, and they tally, and then it's included in the CBC database. The circles are broken up into specific areas called sectors, and with those leaders assigned, they coordinate with the compiler and execute the survey in a certain way. So if you contact your compiler, they'll put you in touch with folks who've been doing this for a while, those sector leaders, and that's to help ensure the best coverage of the area and help people cover assigned routes. So you'll record birds that are both seen or heard during daylight hours of your particular count day. And the hours spent watching and listening get recorded, as well as the miles traveled. Nocturnal birding, also known as owling, is optional. Some folks stay out and do that as well. But the observations, time, and mileage for that particular nighttime effort is reported separately. And as I mentioned before, it's also possible to watch at your feeder and report data if your feeder is located within that designated circle. And that also gets reported separately from people birding in the field and collecting data. And that basically follows Cornell Lab of Ornithology's feeder watch protocol. Excuse me. So you want to report the maximum number of a particular species you see all at once, simultaneously, and that's so you don't overestimate how many birds you're seeing. So it's not a running tally, it's what's the greatest number of a particular species you're seeing at once. And you will want to coordinate with the compiler and be familiar with those tally sheets ahead of time. So wanted to put this out there, get in touch with folks, get the paperwork that you need, and be prepared for this. And then those wanting to join a group in the field, you're going to need to go through that circle coordinator. And just a heads up with COVID, the protocols are a little different from past years, except for last year. So again, carpooling isn't allowed. Individuals or families will need to drive their own vehicles, and it's expected that you practice masking and social distancing when you're outside with your group or sector leader. It is a good opportunity to learn more about your local birds, and certainly inexperienced birders are welcome. Often you'll get teamed up with folks who have been doing the Christmas bird count for a very long time. It's a great way to learn. And I wanted to put a plug in. If you don't want to do the coordination with the Circle compiler, Chippewa Nature Center is in the Midland Circle, and they are hosting a walk on Saturday morning, December 18th. From 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and it's an easy way to participate. You can just show up, walk the trails, do some birding, learn a little bit more, and be part of the Christmas bird count. So I hope you consider participating in the Christmas bird count and making it perhaps a new holiday tradition. Have a good week.